So I think we are live.
Are we live?
I think so. Mark, do you want to start?
Oh, yeah, I see it.
I think so. Mark, do you want to start?
I don't know what lag looks like.
All right, we're live. Make sure everyone mute your mic.
I think the YouTube audio we can all mute.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is our inaugural Project Hydro AMA. Glad to see all of you guys here. Let's do a little bit of an introduction first. Talk about who we are, what we're doing within the project. First off, my name is Mark Anstead. I'm right outside the Washington, D.C. area. I hover between D.C. and Detroit, Michigan, and I run the business development and sales department within Hydro. And yeah, it's a little bit about myself. I'll let Tim go next. He's right next to me on the little Hangouts page. So, Tim, you want to jump in? Tim, your mic is muted.
There we go. Hey everyone, my name is Tim Allard. I run HCDP and development. Joined the project back in last August. I'm currently in Houston, Texas. It's quite hot and humid out today, but I grew up on the East Coast, so I'm originally from Boston. So I'm in the development world, coding and working on lots of development projects currently right now, and I will pass it on to the next.
Marco, you want to jump in? You have to unmute yourself.
Hey guys, Marco. I've been working on Hydro Pay and Hydro X, getting them ready. Also starting paid marketing for the increasing Twitter followers. Also been doing email marketing campaigns. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Harsh.
Hey guys, this is Harsh. I'm from India. I'm also involved in SCDP and development for Project Hydro. So our basic work involves about designing protocols, products, doing smart contracts, and everything in between. Nice to be here.
Awesome. Well, I know one of the things that everyone is probably itching to hear a little bit about, and I mentioned in the Telegram group that I was going to talk about it very briefly, is a little bit on what's going on with exchanges and what's going on that front. We're currently working on getting some various fiat pairs, as I mentioned. What my focus has been over the last month to a month and a half has been focusing on working on some partners for Hydro Pay and Hydro X. For those of you who are watching and might not be very familiar with what those products are, Hydro Pay is a permissionless, gasless P2P payment application. So it basically enables for you to go and send hydro on a day-to-day basis. The Hydro X application is our remittance application, so that enables for different types of fiat to fiat transactions or crypto to fiat transactions, doing them in various types of fiat currencies. So that's basically what I've been working on, and working on some exchanges on that front, obviously working on different fiat pairs, working on getting an MSB partner. If you don't know what an MSB, it's a money services business. So that enables for a money transmitter license. So we can basically do all of these things completely compliantly. And obviously we don't want to be breaking any rules or laws in the process, because we're always in the goal of being completely compliant with everything that we're doing. And we are currently in communication with a bunch of different exchanges right now. Obviously, over the last year or so, we haven't really been able to get onto any exchanges since we launched. But are finally able to have a little bit of a budget, and we are really pushing to try and get on some new exchanges and to help target some of the markets that we're looking to go into. So that's essentially where we are currently on the exchange front. We are basically, I've been making that essentially a main priority for myself and the other biz dev team members. We currently have a tracking list of all of the exchanges that we have been in communication with or reached out to over the last year or so. I believe it's about 75 to 100 exchanges. And right now we have a sprint for different exchanges that we're targeting, which has about 10 to 15 exchanges. And those are all ones that we are currently working towards getting listed on. I know you guys are probably curious as to which ones those are. Unfortunately, I can't really give any names, but I wanted to basically be as transparent as possible in terms of what is going on with that aspect. Some of them are going to be free listings, which obviously is when Binance, you know, we can't talk about that. Yeah, some of them are going to be free listings, which is obviously a really exciting part about what we're doing, because we are completely self-funded. And yeah, so that's a little bit about what we're doing on the exchange front. And if someone wants to jump in, answer one of the next questions, Tim, Harsh, Marco, if you want to jump in, talk about the main use case for Hydro, feel free.
So, Mark, actually, I'll let you take that question. But before that, I just wanted to tell everyone about HydroPay and who is doing what in HydroPay. So Marco is the product manager of HydroPay. It's his brainchild. He has worked on a lot of functionality regarding HydroPay. I am the technical side of HydroPay, so I look after the functions and the functionalities, and they kind of and make sure that they work well along with them, of course. We also had a designer who was scheduled to join for AMA. His name is Jonah. He's an awesome designer. He has designed HydroPay for you guys. So we will try to field the design-based questions. Probably Marco, me, Tim, or Mark will field that because he's not joining today. But yeah, so that's about us. Mark, please go ahead. I think you can answer better than all of us when it comes to Hydro token use. You are our lead biz dev after all.
Sure. Yeah. So, Kyrul, I'll answer your question. Or sorry, Adrian. The main use case for Hydro. So essentially, you can view Hydro as the backbone or the tool that's operating within all of these different applications. So when you're going and building out a solution, whether it's a centralized or decentralized application, you can use the Hydro token for either attestations for like a KYC application, or the currency when you're connecting a client and a service provider. So let's say, for example, in Hydro Pay, we're going and I want to go and pay my buddy for a bunch of drinks if we're going to the bar, or pay him back for some food. I can easily pay him that way. Or if you're going into some of the developing countries that don't have banking services or access to banking services, they can basically go and pay for goods or services. So like, let's say I wanted to go and buy a watermelon and they accept Hydro, you can go and easily pay them in Hydro. So when you're looking at it for the main use case, It's essentially how the developer builds out the use case of the token within an application, because obviously it can be used on a bunch of different verticals, whether it's for fintech like payments for HydroPay, or it can be used in supply chain management or logistics, IoT. It can be used in gaming for like non-fungible tokens. It's a lot of very low-level architecture. So these types of applications and use cases can be used in a bunch of different verticals.
Awesome. So yeah, probably I can take the next question from Carol. Why HydroPay when we have PayPal? So there are a lot of reasons why. First is PayPal is centralized, HydroPay not so much. Then the second is PayPal will always charge you a fees whenever you want to send any sort of money from anywhere to anywhere else. HydroPay is feeless. Yeah. So yeah, those are the two main things why people should use HydroPay. But it doesn't stop over here. So PayPal, it requires you to register over there, go through their processes and procedures. They can block your payment if they want to, and it has happened already with WikiLeaks and almost all the other projects, which HydroPay won't do, because HydroPay is a P2P payment app, and it gives complete control to the user. So yeah, that's my answer for why HydroPay. Tim, Mark, feel free to add in case I missed something.
Well, I think the big kicker for the difference between PayPal and a lot of different solutions is PayPal is only offered in certain countries. Like so many of the countries, especially in the Middle East. I was talking with someone just earlier today in the good old Hydro Growth Squad, and he was saying that there isn't any type of PayPal solution offered in Bangladesh. So those types of solutions and applications are awesome for HydroPay, because obviously we're trying to bring different types of banking solutions to people who either don't have access to them or are limited with the amount of access that they have, because that's the application with which we're trying to bring for these different types of solutions.
Great. I saw one about Hail. I can probably talk a little bit about that one. Yeah, so Hail is progressing. Actually, it's in its final phases of development right now. There's a team that has multiple resources across South America right now that I'm in contact with at least once a week. So I'm in Discord quite a bit, talking with various developers on various parts of the ecosystem that are getting built out daily. And Hail is definitely one of them. They've been doing a really good job creating very modular code in their smart contracts that we've had multiple reviews, multiple collaborations. They're not only building things out, but they're approaching us, asking us for thoughts, or is this the right way to go about this? And we kind of go back and forth to have these conversations, which are really good when it comes to the architecture and infrastructure of these types of development projects, because it allows us to make sure that we cross off all the feature sets that we're looking to do. So we had a really good call last week. In early week, we had some communication going on there. Things are moving along nicely. If anyone has any questions about the actual requirements of what's going into the smart contract, on the HCDP section of our GitHub, we have a post for the bounty that outlines all the feature sets and all the technical weeds that are getting built into that. So I hope that answers that question.
So there was another question. How do we plan to make revenue out of this if everything is basically free? So if you're very familiar, I'm a nerd, so if any of you guys play Xbox or anything like that, always happy to play every once in a while. But the big model for video games right now is the freemium model, and that's being shown in a lot of different financial applications as well, similar to Venmo or Cash App. It's free to use, and different services within those applications are free. And so we're basically offering a freemium model within HydroPay. And so essentially, obviously, going and making regular transactions is going to be completely free. But if people want to have additional features or be able to send more transactions, we're going to have a subscription part of that where people are going to have to pay on a monthly basis. So we'll be able to bring in revenue for that, for the application in that manner. And some countries are not supporting crypto yet, or actually, sorry, how HydroPay works, I'm asking for converting to fiat. So right now, we currently do not have a Hydro to fiat transfer. I had a call earlier with Marco today, so we're basically finalizing some of that stuff in terms of different fiat pairs for both HydroPay and HydroX. I can't really give much detail about which pairs and things like that, but that is something that we are planning to bring into the books, as well as an MSB, which is a money services business. So that enables for us to have a money transmitter license. So when people are going and sending or receiving fiat currencies using these types of I guess fiat solutions, especially with remittance, it's really awesome and easy to use. So that'll come in the V2 for fiat pairs and things like that. And some countries are not supporting crypto yet. What is the policy for them? Well, essentially, we can't really control whether people in certain areas are using our applications because they are completely permissionless. And it's the same thing with basically any type of cryptocurrency. It's essentially, we are building the pipeline for these types of solutions. And if someone wants to be a part of that solution and basically push the water through those pipelines, we can't really stop them from it, which is the beauty about a permissionless application. So, man, guys are asking me a lot of questions. So HydroPay's partner pipeline. So for right now, for HydroPay, what our main focus on for that is essentially for building it out and enabling for basically users to future target price, to basically enable it to be a widely used user application. So it's not necessarily going to be used for HydroPay specifically. It's not going to be used by institutions or anything like that initially. It's more so going to be a P2P payment application. So similar to what Venmo or Cash App are doing when they first started. So it's just different types of P2P payments. Obviously, with these types of solutions and different types of fiat conversions, you're able to do different types of point of sale transactions. We've gotten a ton of people just in the last couple of weeks who are basically saying, hey, we want to be able to offer HydroPay at either our e-commerce website or brick and mortar store. And obviously they can go and offer that right away, but a simple integration for that, similar to like a WordPress website or Shopify, that's something that we're not going to have in the V1. So that's obviously something that we're going to be adding in and make it really, really simple for people to either go and pay and use Hydro at just a regular store or go and pay for something online, making it extremely easy to use. So this V1 is just going and doing P2P transactions. Oh boy. Feeless only apply to HydroPay or from. So Tim or Harsh, you want to jump in and take Smith's question? I feel like I'm stealing everyone's thunder. Make sure you unmute your mic.
Yeah. So I think you're doing a great job, Mark, answering everyone's question. So Tim, maybe if you want, you can take the question.
Sure. Let's see what do we have here. So I think
Feeless
question regarding pairs, that might be more of a Mark question, actually. Hydro BDT, do we have any Bangladesh? There's some P2P services with high charge. Have you any plan to start any Hydro BDT?
There are actually, I was doing some research on this earlier today. I was not able to find a single exchange in the world that actually has a BDT pair, because I was actually talking to him about this earlier. So yeah, it's a little unfortunate that there aren't any BDT pairs, but we are looking to obviously get into that area, but we don't have any of those pairs, or I don't think we'll be able to have that in the near future. One of the other questions was, the feeless only apply to HydroPay or from HydroPay to exchanges and things like that. So that will basically only work for different types of HydroPay to HydroPay transactions. So it's just going to be operating within the HydroPay app.
Correct. At least for now, there are always ways that, HydroPay can be introduced in other mechanisms. For instance, it could be something that gets introduced to the dApp store, the dashboard, it could be a standalone app. It could be something that we have a WordPress plugin for in the future, that we have capabilities to extend it out. Right now, it's in the HydroPay app itself, but there are potential ways that this can get extended out.
So I'll jump in on the question for major contracts. So I've actually been doing a lot of outreach and communication with different types of corporations and enterprises about doing different types of pilots for this stuff. We don't have any official contracts as of yet, but we are communicating with about half dozen organizations about doing some pilots, whether it's for B2B transactions or point of sale transactions. A lot of people are very interested. I'll give an example for one of the larger consulting and accounting firms in the United States. They are interested in working with us to build out a pilot for point of sale transactions with some of their clients that are up in Canada. So, for example, some of the people who are in Canada that are operating at a cannabis shop that these people work with, they aren't really able to get a bank account very easily, which, believe it or not, isn't really that surprising. So they're having a lot of issues transferring funds over to the States. So this is something that Hydro can be of massive benefit to them. So obviously they can go and accept cryptocurrency very easily through their just brick and mortar store. And then when they need to go and do a Canadian dollar to US dollar remittance payments, or either Hydro to US dollar remittance payments, they can do it for extremely cheap. So it's going to be a really, really cool solution once that gets built out, because I know there is a ton of demand and interest for these types of solutions. So I'm going to be following up with them this coming week. I just got in touch with that organization's one of their head partners at that company. So really excited about what's going on that end.
I can take half of the question from Elwin regarding the marketing budget that on Raindrop. I might pass that off to another team member, but regarding the development of it, we're continuing to have a lot of HCDP tasks for Raindrop itself for various integrations. We have quite a few so far that we've been able to build out. The HCDP development community has been so amazing. We've been literally like, we have like this highway of an ecosystem being built, and every single task that gets created and every application that we sort of, you know, cross off the list is extending this highway. This highway is growing, and you can think of like vehicles on top of it as companies and other projects that get to utilize this highway. And the HCDP has been a great mechanism to extend this highway of protocol and layer that we're building. And we have developers all over the globe that are participating in, for instance, something, you know, like Raindrop and all these other smart contracts along Tide. So some of the third-party plugins that we built for Raindrop so far include WordPress with multiple revisions to it. I believe Alan is actually a part of that one. We have Joomla, Laravel, Salesforce, Drupal, October CMS, Passport.js. Like there's tons of different modules that these can be extended and plugged into websites that exist out on the internet today, and that brings, you know, Hydro into that ecosystem. So regarding the marketing of it, I might pass that along to someone else, but regarding the development of it, we're still actively, you know, developing. We have tasks up for it. And securing sites on the internet are happening today with the plugins that we're building.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So I'll take half of the question from you. So Alvin, regarding the marketing budget of Hydro Raindrop, I don't have a direct answer for you, but I have an answer. So at Hydro, what we are trying to do, we are trying to build protocols which provide solution to different problems, and then using those protocols, we are building solutions like Hydro Pay or Hydro X, or a lot of other solutions which are in the pipeline. So the marketing budget of Hydro Raindrop, it kind of comprise of all the protocols which we are building, because there are plans to use Hydro Raindrop with other protocols, and then create an app out of it, or a DApp, and that alone will the marketing of Hydro Raindrop will of course be included in that. So yeah. That's sort of an indirect answer I have for you regarding the marketing budget. But yeah, Hydro Raindrop and all the other phases and all the other protocols, they are on our mind.
Can we just give a hand for all the exciting development that we have going on right now? Like this is so crazy. Like we have so much good stuff that the team is doing such a great job. Both internally at Hydro itself and the external community, so that's really exciting to see that. So I just wanted to share that.
Hey Marco, are you able to jump in terms of marketing budget and what's going on that end? I know he mentioned something about a little issue going on his end. You able to jump in?
Yeah.
I think your mic is muted.
Raindrop will pretty much be tied into marketing for Vault, since we'll be using Raindrop to sign into Vault to store larger amounts of cryptocurrencies.
We just started hearing you.
Oh.
So if you want to back up.
Raindrop will be tied into Vault. All the marketing for Raindrop will be tied into Vault mostly. So we'll be marketing Vault as using Raindrop as the most secure way to store your crypto 2FA using Vault only.
So another question is, will there be any option to add other currency like Bitcoin or ETH? So we are actually planning to add in a few other of the larger ERC20s onto the app. I don't know if we're actually going to be adding Ether or not, but I know we are going to be adding a few of the top ERC20 tokens on it. And it should be free. And have you guys applied to get on other exchanges? Yes, I have applied on a lot of exchanges. Usually they want, I don't know, $100,000 to get listed on there, so it's kind of absurd. So if you guys have any experience communicating with any exchanges, you will probably know that they can be a pain in the butt sometimes. A lot of them want an absurd amount of money, even though what their product offers is not even close to being worth it. For example, you can get on like the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange for cheaper than some of these other crazy crypto exchanges. Hydro's relationship with Chainlink. So that's actually a application that we're going to be releasing later this year. The backend is actually already finished being built out. I've seen a demo of it, and it's actually really, really cool. And that revolves around the Hydro Vault. And what that is and how we're basically utilizing and working with Chainlink and their Oracle smart contracts is we are basically going to be working with them and basically storing cryptocurrency or funds inside of a smart contract. And whenever someone wants to go and withdraw, send, or make any type of transaction whatsoever, they have to verify it using the Raindrop 2FA solution. So it'll basically be the most secure wallet or hot wallet on the market. I actually have, I'm a big fan of Kobo Vault and what their cold wallet offers, but I'll probably be moving all of my funds over to the Vault once it, or the Hydro Vault once it comes out, just because I know all of the back-end security that's being built into it. So it'll actually, if exchanges that have been hacked recently actually implemented that tech, they would basically be able to prevent a large amount of the hot wallet hacks that have happened. So whenever someone is going and hacking into an exchange, they basically need to steal all of those funds from the hot wallet, and whenever they are trying to be transacted or withdrawn from that wallet, they would have to be verified through that Raindrop authentication, which is, if you've looked into the tech of that, I can explain it if you would like. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with it, but it's basically impossible to hack into. Really cool stuff. I'm really excited about that product releasing. I know that that Chainlink is really excited about. It's going to be probably one of the first really cool applications that's going to be launched on their mainnet.
Keep those questions coming. This could actually be another moment to talk about. I had another question come through from another application about an update on the dApp Store, which I think we're all extremely excited to hear about. So just a little backstory on the dApp Store. So the dApp Store currently exists right now and functions on where you can test things out in a fully functional manner. So what we've been doing for the past couple months is actually making it really usable, friendly, understandable, easy to use, and break down a lot of those barriers that people have when it comes to interacting with cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Because for a lot of people, it's not very natural and it's still kind of complicated. So I know Jonah wasn't able to make the AMA today, but he also did the redesign for the dApp store itself. And as you can see, like when we have all these products out in the wild, they're going to be very, I guess, similar in how you get familiar with them. So it's sort of like if you understand how to use one product and you know what something is, you have an idea of already how to cross off a couple checkboxes on the naturalness, I guess, on getting onboarded into these tools, which is great because you don't need to relearn. You don't need to relearn something. And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out and iron out ways to make things easier for someone to understand a lot of what we're trying to build and what we are building. So the dApp store, in its infancy, was a really great prototype that worked and had a lot of bells and whistles on the page that needed to get organized, and they needed to get structured and put into specific areas that could allow a user to be familiar with what they are today with the marketplace or a store. All right, so when you think about a dApp store or an app store, you have a place where you can find all the apps that exist. You have a place that you can change your settings. You have a place that has categories and filters. So we had to step back and we had to organize and figure out how we wanted to lay this out to the user to be able to interact with. And also we needed to make this a scalable solution. We needed to make sure that we could architect this in a decentralized manner where we could allow people to add dApps, download dApps, use dApps, pay for dApps, and interact with them all under the Snowflake identity. So there were a lot of things and a lot of thought put in and a lot of re-architecting that we really wanted to do to go out the door the right way. We wanted to make sure that it was built to scale so we could handle, major, if we're launching this marketplace, we want to make sure that we can have a Hello World app from someone who's just learning how to code, all the way to, a fully, every function possible, from well-known brands. So we want to make sure that we can all have an ecosystem in a place where everyone can have what they want in there and, get their user base that they're individually trying to build. So with that, there's also a place to actually see the smart contracts that exist. So every single smart contract that gets built out under the HCDP program is another tool that developers have to create dApps that get put into the marketplace. For instance, there's subscription payments, there are reoccurring payments, there's interest, there's various things. So a developer can say, all right, I've never created a dApp before, but I know a little bit of code. Okay, cool. I want to have subscription payments. All right, here's a smart contract that I can take a look at, and I don't need to reinvent the wheel every single time. So the more smart contracts and the more development that we have in creating these tools that allow developers to get dApps created more frequently and easier, and not having to reinvent the wheel, it's going to have a snowball effect on how that gets created. So from the dApp store perspective, we reskinned the store experience. So now it has the design. So when I say skin, it's adding a design that you're familiar with when you go to any website or an app on the internet. They all have a skin that goes on top of it. So this has been reskinned to be familiar, to look the way it does when Jonah hands off the PSDs and the design. So we've been working on that. Just this morning, I got a URL that has a deliverable. So we're going to be starting that beta testing very shortly. So that's super exciting. So that's just a little bit of backstory. And what I really want to do this month and into the next month, when we start getting into the phase 2. So immediately after we get phase 1 out there and open it up to you all, we're going to be getting into phase 2, which is really starting to focus and organize and plan a lot of other features, which are going to just really make it a full store experience with statistics and various other reporting mechanisms that you might see out there today. So yeah, so really excited for that. And we're going to be having a lot of what we really need to focus on now is getting a lot of dApps into the marketplace. But what you will be seeing on my end in the near future is actually getting into a lot of the code. And I know there's a big development community out there, and some people just really enjoy that. So we're going to be talking about why we did things certain ways, what libraries we're using, making sure that we're staying fully decentralized, making sure that the licenses in various libraries follow the same guidelines to keep things open source, and all those things. So we'll be doing live coding sessions. We'll be having a Hello World dApp creation session. So there's a lot of things that I'm really excited about there. So I look forward to participating with you all in that in the near future. So just a quick little update on that. I know there are definitely some questions and interest around our a dashboard update. So that's the update on my end.
Thanks, Tim. Nicely put.
Hey, Marco, would you be able to jump in and give them an idea as to where we are in terms of HydroX? I know he was having some emergencies that he had to get done on his end, so he might not be able to jump in.
So, if
10 seconds. So I can jump in and I guess take over. So in terms of where we are with HydroX, we've finished out the back end. The back end build was finished about 3 weeks ago, and we just finished out the front end and design build for it. So the actual app is basically finished getting built out, and we just started doing beta testing. So we're basically going through and testing it internally, similar to how we did with HydroPay when that first got finished getting built out. And then we're going to slowly do another, I guess, phased rollout of the app to the community so they can test it, so they can try and break it, and then basically go from there. And then we'd obviously do a global launch with it. And the Hydro Vault, we've basically already finished the entire back-end build for it. What we're basically going to have to do is similar to what happened with the dApp store that Tim is working on. We're basically just going to have to put together a design and basically build that front end for it and reskin it so it doesn't look clunky. Because obviously everything that we're building, we want to make sure it's very, very easy to use. So, for example, if you basically went and gave it to your mom or your dad, they could probably be able to use it. So that's essentially where we're at with that. I don't believe we've started with the design and reskin for Vault yet. I believe that starts this coming month. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have to use a cheat sheet. I can't remember everything off the top of my head. But that's essentially where we're at with those. And then in terms of the Libra white paper and mission, I did a lot of research into what Libra and Facebook is building, and I'm very outspoken about my opinion on it. And for me personally, what they're basically doing is it's a centralized company like Facebook basically creating their own bank. And what they're doing isn't necessarily that impressive. Mostly their platform, what they're doing is essentially a permissioned public network. But every person who wants to go and use their app has to complete KYC. So basically they go and they're able to access all of your information, track all of the transactions that you're making, who they're going to, and everything around that. And I guess the protocol layer is built out on a permissionless level, so people can go and build different types of solutions on that. And they really haven't given any type of explanation about what they're going to be doing, what the fees within the network are. All they've basically announced is that buying a node within the network to complete and verify transactions is about $10 million, which is kind of absolutely insane. So it's basically making the rich people richer, and welcome to the world of Facebook. But it's kind of sketchy with what they're building and enabling. Obviously, what they're doing is essentially a centralized stable coin. And yes, I don't really think it's going to end up being that crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if other organizations like Facebook end up coming out with their own cryptocurrency that's doing the exact same thing, because they can just bypass the requirements to become a bank by doing that. That's all they're doing. And then, yeah, Libra is adding your financial data to their data sets. The ironic thing about what Libra is doing is essentially they already have so much information about us with Facebook, with all of the data. They essentially know more about us than what we really think that we know about ourselves, just from all the things that we like, comment, share, and are interested in. And now they just want to know where we live and more information. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of what they're doing. The most shy and careless person on the whole team. I would say I'm definitely not the most shy, but I would consider myself probably to be somewhat of a goofball in the private sense, but I'm always very business focused when I need to be, but I can be a little bit of a goof because I like to have fun, and I don't know, I like to make people laugh. But who's the most shy? I don't know. Do you guys know who's the most shy person on the team? I'll jump in and say I'm the most careless, because I don't know if there's. All right, so let's say Harsh is the most careless. Who's the most shy? I don't know who's the most shy.
No, we all have a lot of energy. I don't know if anyone's shy.
Yeah. Yeah. Marco, are you back? Can you answer the question about the incubation program? I know that's basically on Awasika's front. So if you guys aren't familiar, Awasika is he's one of the biz dev guys from Nigeria, and he's actually been basically building out and putting together the incubation and enterprise solutions team. So I know he would be able to be the best person to answer those questions. So if Marco is not able to answer that, if he's not back, then I will try and get Awasika to come in and answer that question in the Telegram group for you. Are there any companies that have partners in relation to HydroX, Vault, or Pay? Well, we have corporate partners for these products. So I can't really say anything about that right now, but sure. Yeah. So we don't have anything announced officially yet, but yeah, we're going to have corporate partners for these products. As I mentioned earlier, in terms of who asked this question, Auburn guy, I'm guessing he's a big Auburn fan. He asked if we have any major contracts. So in terms of corporate partners, right now, obviously, Hydrogen, who's operating at the layer 4 on top of Hydro, they are working with a lot of pretty big Fortune 500 companies like TD Bank, IBM, Oracle, and they're basically going to be able to offer all of these types of solutions to them and their clients. And in terms of us working with other organizations, we are currently communicating with a lot of them right now, and I can't really give too much detail about it. But Yeah, so we are definitely going to have different types of corporate partners for these types of things. I don't know when we can announce them, but a lot of corporations are very, very interested, especially into the B2B aspect.
What are the advantages? I can maybe take that one.
I'll let you guys.
So Stanley says, what are the advantages of working with a team who's living 1,000 kilometers apart from each other? Or is it difficult to work in this scenario?
Hey, Tim, let's let Eric answer this, because he hasn't been able to answer anything for a little while.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. So the advantages, yeah, there are a lot of advantages. One thing is, if you want to slack off work, you can do that. Okay, so advantages, there are many. One of the major advantages I can think of is the fact that we are working and collaborating with different cultures, and we are trying to absorb different ideas from different part of the world, and then trying to combine it and create a product which will simply work, whether it's in India, in Europe, or in US. So that's one of the advantage I can see when we work like a team. And when we are apart from each other. The other advantage I can see is that we are very, very friendly with each other, and we trust each other a lot, because most of the time I'll be handing off things or going off to sleep, and then Tim and Mark will come in, and they will continue the things. So because of that, we are able to trust each other a lot and communicate very clearly on the features we want, why we want it, what will work on this part of the world, what will work in US. So yeah, it's really great to work like this. And of course, as I said, you can always slack off. So that's one of the major advantage.
Yeah, I echo what Harsh was saying. You know, there's definitely a beauty of being able to collaborate with someone across the globe that speaks a different language, that's in a different part of the earth. You know, some of the things that I've worked remote and from home for quite a few years now, so I'm kind of used to dealing and interacting and communicating with people from all over the place. And it's really fun, and it brings another layer of communication and how to, you know, balance and you know, how to get different perspectives on things, and I think that that's very valuable. Also, like Harsh mentioned, there are some things that are really cool too. Like when you're sleeping, work is getting done. I think that's really nice, and you can be strategic about that too. Like if you really need to really get something done, you know, you can make sure that, you know, developers are in various parts of the globe to make sure that they're collaborating. So when someone goes to sleep, the next person can pick something up. One thing is, like in our team, you know, some people are on the early side of the spectrum and some people are on the later side of the spectrum. So sometimes, you know, meetings are a little rough sometimes because someone's usually either up really late or up really early. And sometimes you fit in the middle. So sometimes there's some things, but we're all, you know, very flexible, and we all really work well together. So I think that that's a nice plus. That's a nice plus to it. And I think there was another update on the dApp store. So I did a little update before. We have it designed. I received a link today, and we'll be getting people testing this right away.
Yeah. So I also agree, Craig is not Satoshi.
And I actually just wanted to jump back when Mark was talking about the beta testing. Like, I just wanted to thank all of our beta testers who have interacted with the tools that we've been building and the products that we've been working on. Beta testing is super, super important to any developmental project that goes out into the wild. Whether you're dealing with actual something like with tokens or something that has a monetary value or not, it's really important to have a plan for testing and, you know, opening that up to more and more people so you can make sure that you're out the door in a scalable way. And, you know, we've been getting tons of great feedback from you all. And that's very important to make our products the best that they can be when we roll these out there. So we just wanted to thank you all for contributing to that. And just wanted to jump in with that.
Okay,
Hey,
so
Harsh or Tim, you want to answer the one about the HydroPay and APIs?
yeah, I was actually going to answer that, but Tim, if you want to take this, feel free to jump in.
Oh, you can go for it.
So yeah, so HydroPay, the way we have designed it, it's based on layers upon layers of solution. So yes, we are going to have APIs for integration of payments, but yeah, we are going to be really iterative about it. We have already planned very cool features for you guys, and we have planned an entire version or versions of feature. So yes, we will have API for integration. We will have corporate partners. We have a lot of things down in its own roadmap, and you are going to see a lot of version updates going forward after this launch. So yeah, it's kind of like what how we envision HydroPay. It's like a go-to solution for everything when it comes to payment. So yeah, any of the any features which you can think about, we have probably planned that for HydroPay. Well, maybe not all the solutions, but yeah, most of them.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to start and get wrapped up. I just want to say thanks for all of the awesome questions, guys. This was a fantastic, I guess, inaugural Hydro AMA, and I'm really glad all of you guys were able, guys and gals, if there are any gals out there, were able to come and listen, ask some questions, find out a little bit more about what we're doing. If you have any more questions, please come to our Telegram group. I will post it right now in the chat. Please join, ask us some questions, follow us on Twitter, go to our website, check us out, see what we're doing. And yeah, I think that's it. So it was a pleasure speaking with all of you, and look forward to what we're all going to be able to build together.
Yay! Yeah, this is super fun. I echo what was just said. We're always here if there are any questions. You know, if I'm not on, someone else will be, and if they're not on, I will be. That's how it works. And I look forward to talking to you all in various channels, and see you guys soon.
Yep, really had fun doing this AMA, guys. Thanks for all the questions, and see you around.
All right.